Okay, the color 2-3 exercise. It's really two versions of color 1, two new versions. Now you are setting the color schemes yourself. So that's what I'm going to discuss here. Um, this is due on Friday, and it is unusual in that it has a Word doc associated with it. So you have to, there's some typing, some writing of some codes and stuff to go along with it as a separate file, not in your root folder. So first of all, I would say you should pick and maybe practice with one of the color pickers, um, color scheme designers of some kind. I showed you in the presentation Adobe Color, so feel free to go look at Adobe Color. Paladin, I use what is the older version of Paladin, which is Color Scheme Designer 3.5, and that's what I have open right now. You're going to take that and you're going to develop two different color schemes. I guess before first go ahead and look at those and pick one and practice or something. There's no reason you can't use one and then try to use the other one a little more too to fine tune your ideas. But I suppose before you go too far with that, you should probably make your project folder and your root folder and go get your update and correct your color one file, any changes that I suggested you make, so make sure it works right. And then paste 2 copies of your color one file, whatever it was called, color one, your name, the HTML document, into your root folder. You're going to name those color 2 name and color 3 name. Get the idea? Yeah. Okay. So now you're going to go look at the colors you selected. I would say you start with one and then do the other. You're going to do 2 different color schemes, but ones that seem reasonable to you, that you like and I think are attractive. And although you're not required to use these in your resume, the idea is you're probably thinking of things you might use in your resume. So hopefully this is useful work. You'll probably use more color on this in this exercise than you will in your resume. You'll probably back off and use a little less color there. So what do I mean by use a color picker to pick a color scheme, and how does that relate, I suppose, to your to this color 2 and 3? Okay, well, let me show you. Here I have Color Scheme Designer, which I showed you in a different presentation. So you're going to need to pick 2 different types of color schemes. One might be mono, complementary is another good choice, triad perhaps, maybe analogic, and in other, like in Adobe Color and other color pickers, of which there's many. These might be named different names, somewhat different names, but you'll have some choices of an overall idea of the color scheme. I'm going to start with a complement, they call it complementary. You see, there's quite a bit of some variety there. However, I think I'm going to go for some colors I can make a little more muted and maybe not. I'm just spinning this around. Maybe something like, I kind of like those colors. You pick your own colors. Now remember, now we're just looking at the hue right now, right? But you're going to have to adjust the scheme with brightness, saturation. Perhaps I'll take the saturation away a little bit, and maybe I'll add the lightness a little bit too. And I would say, maybe I'll saturate a little more. Maybe it'd be something like that, okay? Now, if I want to go back to hues, I can play with it a little more. Maybe I want to adjust it just a little bit more this way or that way, a little bit. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blues, pretty similar, although this one is quite a bit lighter. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these browns. Just because the blue is predominant doesn't mean it has to be predominant. Maybe my brown is predominant or something. I think that this light color or this light color might be a good background color with a dark, like a black text, perhaps. Or maybe if I was going to go a white text, maybe I'd use that one of these 2 over here as the background color, or maybe this one down here. I think it's a little easier in general to use the traditional dark text with light background. If I want to see how these might look in that way, I could go to a light page example. And that's showing me some of those colors here, and then using those colors in some links. Also see that the colors are used in links. And if I click on one of those, it's not doing too much. Anyway, you get the idea. And then I can try a dark page example. It's reversing things with, now it's white text as opposed to last time it was black text. If nothing else, you got to make sure they're good contrast. This is just showing you you're not really going to use things in this color, showing you how you might make a link work or something. These links have kind of disappeared now because the automation shows a pretty poor color for the link itself before you hover. That can give you some ideas. And whether I like those ideas or whether they're helpful or not, that doesn't really matter. The idea that what matters is I'm going to take these codes. Now I can export these codes as plain text, for instance. Oops, it's not going to give me. Maybe the export is not working on here. It's going to export for HTML and CSS. No, it's not. Okay, so the export is not working on this site right now, but it's no big deal because I can just hover over them and write down the colors. I could write down all these colors. All right. It could get a color list. It could just show me the colors as primary and secondary there. Primary and complementary, right? And I could write those down and then try them out. And then when I got the scheme working the way I wanted to, when I got really nice working links, which is really the hard thing, is to make sure your links, your static link is different from your visited, and you have a good hover going on, and yet it's obvious that all those links are different from regular text too. And then you have some kind of background. I get those things all working. As I'm getting those working, you should be recording these in the worksheet. This is the Word document of the worksheet, which is there on Moodle to download. If you have any trouble with the Word document, you can just print it and write things in by hand if you wish. Or you could just make your own document, just answer these questions essentially. Color 1 scheme, what type is it? Is it monochromatic? Is it complementary? Is it triad? Is it whatever? What type is it? And by the way, I want 1 and 2. This says color scheme 1. Of course, that's actually in color 2, and the second one is in color 3. And then I want the second one to be a different scheme type. Overall background color, probably something quite light. Accent background color. Accent background would be the header background that we have. There's a header area. You don't have to use another background there, but you probably will want to. And if you do use a background there, you should put the code in there. I'm sorry, accent or secondary one. General text color, it'll probably be black. Color for headers, if you want to have color on 1 or 2 headers, what is the color going to be? So in here, you're going to write the hex code, or if you're using a color picker that gives you RGB codes, you write the RGB codes in there, okay? And then the link colors, okay? Static link, visited link, focus, hover link, those will be the same, and active link could also be the same. So we imagine that for static and visited, it's usually just a color, and then there's usually a background color for these, right? And then you're gonna write those in. You're gonna try them, get them right. You may have to change them. You may have to go back to the website and work on the color some more. But one way or the other, you'll get them so they work very well, and you're happy with them. And then you'll move on to number 2, and then you'll move on back to the whichever program you're using, this one, or maybe you've been using Adobe Color, right? And you've been working with that one, with a triad or something, and you've got that going, and you've got the colors out of it. Fine. And then you do the next one. Otherwise, in the assignment, it just tells you that. Oops, I want to go back again because here's the assignment right here. There it is. Come on. Okay, yeah. It just tells you that when you're done, you upload, you have one zip folder, right, which has 2 HTML documents in it, color 2 and color 3. You upload that, plus you have the Word document. Oh, do notice in the Word document, at the very end, there's a short answer question to answer, all right? So I need you to answer that. Just write a couple of, 1 paragraph or 2 paragraphs or something for that. This document, either in a PDF or a Word file or something like that, gets uploaded separately to that same Dropbox. Good. And then just a reminder here, I went over these in the last presentation, the link design best practices, so you can review that stuff and think about those too. Okay, good luck with your color 2 and 3.